All right, so I will go through this real quick. I'm bringing here this speak CDP Personalize for XP fanatics. The whole purpose of this session is to provide you people who already know XP, who already is familiar with the concept, your quick starter to the CDP and Personalize world. I will go through real quick. I think you know me, some of you. Rodrigo Peplau, also known in the community as a Sitecore singer. And you know what? I love XP. To be very honest, I love XP. And the reason why I love XP is because it has everything to do with my career with Sitecore. When I joined in 2010, it was a long time ago, 12 years ago. Sitecore was very simple. And it took me 6 years to become an MVP, another year to win the hackathon for the first time. I'm sure Dylan knows what I'm talking about. Some people in the community is very proud of this. Everybody's every year joining the hackathon. It's very surprising when you win, especially when you win twice. You know, the platform has been changed a lot during these years, these 12 years. And I must confess that sometimes I feel uncomfortable, I feel outdated, or even threatened in my career. I'm sure most of you can feel like that as well. But I have good news for you folks. CDP and Personalize are your friend. Are your friend because it's easy to learn and use. It's very powerful. It can even do more than what Sitecore XP can do. It's fun to work and also good for your career. Before I start, I want to bring you this reflection. Are you a fanatic or just a fan? If you take a look in the definition of the word fanatic, you will notice that they are all negative. Extremist, sectarian, manic, nothing of what you want to do, nothing what you want to be, right? But if you take a look in the definition of the word fan, which is interesting, it's a person who has a strong interest or admiration for something. All the positive synonyms. And it's funny because in Spanish-speaking countries, the word fanatic, is also used as a synonym for fan without the negative connotation. So that's why I'm telling you guys, be a fan, not a fanatic, unless if you speak Spanish, then you have a very good excuse. Okay, now that we know the difference between being a fan and a fanatic, and I want you to become a fan of everything, I want to bring you this, okay, about this session. I will introduce a number of new concepts by comparing them with the Sitecore world. So every time you see this yellow banner here, it's what I'm calling the comfort zone, your comfort zone. We're going to take advantage of your existing comfort knowledge to speed up you to the CDP concepts, okay? Of course, I'm appealing to a lot of simplifications, and because of that, I also may occur in a few inaccuracies. So take this as the beginning of your journey and not the end of your journey. Actually, you still have to learn a lot after this. Okay? So what is Sitecore, CDP, and Personalize? Shortcut, it's the equivalent in XP to the XDB and XConnect. Okay? Everything began when Sitecore acquired this company called BoxEver. The BoxEver had a product called BoxEver, and when Sitecore acquired the company, the product has been renamed, actually split into two. It became a CDP and become the Personalize. You can acquire both or the two separated. And everything goes around collecting data from the user, determining the best action, determining what is important and relevant to the visitor, and finally providing you, delivering you, the user, optimized experience. I think nothing new on this, right? This is exactly what the XP does with the personalization and the historical data taken. Here you have on the left side all the three ways to interact with the CDP headlessly. You have the stream API, which is where we collect data, I would say, event tracking and interactions between users and your system. They will be collected by using the stream API. You have the interactive API for it's it's a web API, normal web API to getting REST API, to do a lot of things that you can do in the UI, you can do in the backend as well with the web API. And you have the batch API, which is basically just to load content in massively into the system. Here in the middle, you have the brain of the system, the CDP, which is providing omnichannel experiences to the end user that are in the channels that you see in the right. If you put, I will make some comparisons here. This is exactly what the contexts and the interactions are in Sitecore XDB, right? So don't feel confused. This is basically just collecting contexts, identifying contexts, collecting interactions. And when it comes to the personalize, you have two more things in the middle, plugged to the CDP and the omnichannel experience, providing the omnichannel experience. We also have experimentation at the top and decisioning at the bottom. Shortcut to you folks from the XP, the yellow banner is there for you to feel comfortable. Experimentation is MV testing, A/B testing, and decisioning, personalization. Okay, so nothing new again. And we are delivering personalized content for our multiple channels. Okay. When it comes to integrating CDP and Personalize with other platforms, including the one we love most, I spoke briefly about them. I will go through them a little more now. You have the three APIs. The Stream API is the one used, especially if you are building a web system. You will count with this box-server JavaScript library, which is shortcutting a lot of things for us as a developer, and that has a lot of methods to interact with the Stream API. The REST API, the interactive API, this is where you have a number of REST APIs, endpoints to call and do whatever you do in the UI. And the batch APIs, like I mentioned, to import massively content. What is this? A good comparison, XConnect, Client API, and the Universal Tracker. Those are the things in the XP world that are doing the same as this. But back to the JavaScript, box-server JavaScript library. See, plugging a website with the CDP, it's very easy. All you have to do is to add a JavaScript snippet similar to what you have in Google Analytics, for instance, or any other cloud services are generally that way. You have this, you plug this, paste in the URL in your markup, and that's over. You can also inject using Google Tag Manager, but there are some differences, okay? Because GTM works just in the end of the page load, and you can have some delay doing some operations. And here's where the XP is winning. XP doesn't require any other special setup other than visitor identification method. But of course, you have to take into consideration that XP can only serve pages and serve personalization to pages served by Sitecore. Now you go headless, you can modify that, of course, but is it still coupled in the platform more than the CDP and Personalize, which was designed to be pluggable. I remember I told you about the JavaScript library. It gives you a lot of helpers method like this. You have here the get ID, right? The get ID is going to give you a unique ID for the browser, what we call browser session ID. We have to use that ID to manage the session. In Sitecore XP, again, nothing has to be done because everything is being automatically tracked by first-party cookies. Here on screen now you have a piece of code showing how to plug send events to Sitecore to CDP, okay? So it's a JavaScript method. We are filling an object with a number of data, of information, and then you call the event create, and that's all, okay? You have a callback to treat the response there, you know, pretty much straightforward, and whoever works with JavaScript will identify this is very easy. When it comes to XP, those events will be the equivalent of triggering a goal, triggering an outcome, an event. So everything you guys are already familiar to. But let me bring some glossary. I want to compare some concepts from Sitecore and XP and the CDP, okay? To start with, event types. As you know, we have in XP, the page visit is tracked by the visitor identification method, and you have the contact identification. So every time you fill up a form or anything like that, you will be identifying the contact inside Core XP. The page view is equivalent to an event of view in CDP, and the contact identification is equivalent to the identity event type, which is basically going to do the same thing. And funny enough, the personalization, the CDP and Personalize tool gives you more than just what we got in XP. An example is all these order event types. You know, searching for a product, adding an event, adding a product to your basket, confirming the payment, paying itself. Those are out there out of the box in CDP. In XP, you don't have that. You have to build your own custom events in order to get that tracked and using Experience Commerce or using Experience Commerce. Okay, when it comes to integrating CDP and XM or our XP, I will recommend you go through this URL that you see on screen. It's a document made by Sitecore with a lot of blueprints about huge number of things that you can do plugging Sitecore XM, XP with CDP. So for instance, here you have tracking visitor interactions. You have identifying returning visitor. You have tracking goals and conversions and all that. Okay? So the URL is there. I hope you visit that. It's going to be a good read, by the way. Okay, so the next section of this session is going to be dedicated to your boss who loves XP. Okay, your boss might be a little anxious because he's not able to find the stuff anymore. So why is that? Your boss might start asking, where are my contacts? Okay, and inside Core CDP, a guest is a person who interacts with your organization, basically a contact. As you know, in XP, we have two types of contacts, anonymous contact, known contact after identification. In CDP, we have three. We have a visitor, which is anonymous. We have a traveler, which is a known contact, but we have a minimum amount of information about him. And you have a customer, which is a guest that is interacting with your brand for a longer time, and we have more information about that person. Okay, you know, in connect, we can expand the contact model. We can create new facets. We can create new interaction types. In the CDP, you have the equivalent to that, which is the guest data model and the guest data extensions. Guest data model, will be the normal properties of the guest, maybe first name, last name, things like that. Anything you want to add as an extension to those data, you're gonna use guest data extension, which is basically a key value pair collection or something like that, where you can save data and consult data later from the contact. In Sitecore XP, we have the experience profile where you can visit the interactions and everything is visually there. The segment that the person belongs and all that. In CDP, it's the same. It's not different. You have the list of guests in this case. You can get inside of the guest and see what the guest is doing, including money spent in your website, in your system overall. And you see most of those things are not there when you look to the XP only, okay? Time of the day where the person is joining, is it the afternoon, is it in the evening, in the night? And the mobile, the channel that the user are accessing and all that, including some guest extra information that I mentioned earlier, the interactions that they are doing, everything is there. So your boss don't have why to be concerned about that. The orders is something that you don't have in XP out of the box. That's why I'm telling all the time, CDP and Personalize can be even more powerful than Sitecore XP. Don't get me wrong. And the boss is asking, how is the privacy regulations? Because he knows that in Sitecore XP, we have a number of the whole privacy checklist. You have a number of features like the PII sensitive declaration that will not index that information that is sensitive. A lot of things like right to be forgotten, right to be erasure, right of access, and all that to comply to GDPR regulations. When it comes to CDP, the thing is barely minimal. You have this, you can store this PII outside of CDP, which is if the privacy regulation is a concern, you have to do that. You can use first-party segments to store your user data, and also you have the guest delete capability, which is there to enable you complying to the right to be forgotten law or the right or whatever. I have only 8 minutes. The rules, your boss knows a lot how to use the rules, how easy it is to put together rules, how easy it is to, set up personalization for that. In CDP and Personalize, what you have in substitution is the decision model. And the decision model is twofold, the purpose. Build the business logic and also make it readable to business users. And you have here in the top, in the bottom, the input of data. You have in the middle, the business logic. And I will expand this, okay? Inputting data into CDP, you can make in multiple ways. You can input guest data, order data, session data. Those are all native, stored within the platform. It can come from outside, like data system, analytical model. Those are calling web APIs or endpoints, or external endpoints. And you have offers. Those offers are, those can be taken from your CRM or from your system and input into CDP in a synchronous process, and that can be done without prejudice of speed. You don't need to wait for the external call to be done. When it comes to business logic, you have 3 ways to build your business logic. You have decision table, where basically what you see on screen here, I'm telling the business logic is, if the username is Rodrigo, then the result will be true. If it's not Rodrigo, it result will be false. So basically, I will be doing a personalization for anyone who is called Rodrigo. Programmable decision is, you can do much more than just the table, because here you have JavaScript to build your logic, even calling external services if you want, or doing complex calculations. And also you have decision template, which is basically just a programmable decision, but boxed in a way that business users can work. As you can see here, you have session ref and event type. Those are parameters boxed for the user, so they can input the parameters without having to deal with the JavaScript directly. And your boss is like, where is the personalization now? You know, I want to tell you that in the difference in nomenclature is here, okay? In what we call an XP personalization in CDP Personalize is called an experience, okay? I know it can be confusing, but if it's an experience, it's going to be a personalization. Your boss knows that it's very easy to create personalization in Sitecore, where you go in XP, you go and create your variations and you select your data, and that's how the component will look different. When it comes to web experiences, we have CDP comes with a number of the components that you can use out of the box, and you can build your components as well. You know, there's a lot of pop-ups, there are some sidebars, top bars, floating bars generally, and things like that, where you can anyhow, if you, not just because they come out of the box, but you can also customize that. As you can see, you can modify colors, you can modify the whole HTML if you want. You can change the CSS, you have the ability to input JavaScript on it, and that's very, very complex. You can do a lot of things with this. Full stack experience, those are the same as web experience, but instead of returning HTML to the user markup, we are returning just data. And the ability to give just data here is important, because you can then implement personalization in a system that is not web system. Imagine a mobile application, for instance. You can personalize there inside by having the personalization done, decided by the Personalize, and the data only is going to be sent to the system, where you can do anything you want there. You know, setting up a personalization experience, it's straightforward. You have a number of things to fill. You will start with the content variations. I want to speak about this later. Variants, not variations. You have this interesting ability to target a page instead of just in XP. We don't have that ability. You can just add a personalization to any page, or just to some pages under a certain subsection of your website. And also you can use rules to filter your audience. So let's say people from Brazil, for instance, you can filter in the audience. You have the decision in here, which is the decision model that I showed in the beginning. And the goals, if you want, that's optional. You can then allow CDP to give you back information if the personalization is being good for the performance of the website or not. Maybe probably one of the last things I was gonna tell today. I wanna say this is important. In personalization experiences, the name variants and personalization variations, they might be similar, they might even look very similar, but they are very different, okay? The thing is, in variants, you don't have the ability to display one or the other variants. CDP is only showing randomly one or A or B, one or two. And if you have 10 variants, it will randomly display A, B, or C until 10. But in Sitecore XP, the variations are there to be displayed accordingly to the rule that is matched, okay? So if you have 10 variations, one of the 10 will be shown first, and that's going to display your variant. So that's interesting. In CDP, the variants are randomly displayed. In CDP, the content from the variants comes from the decision model, while in the personalization, in XP, the content comes from the data source that you set up in the personalization. In CDP, Personalize, a single variant will display all dynamic content. So again, the content comes from the decision model, and by using variables and JavaScript code, you will be showing everything. While in the XP, each variant displays its own content. So you have 10 variants. Each variant will have its own content assigned and will render that. In Personalize, the reason to use a variant is to measure the best performance, while in the XP, the reason to use variations is basically to display the personalized content of that variant. It's the names are similar, they look the same, but they are very different. Okay, I will skip here because we're short in time, and I want to go straight to an invitation. Okay, there's a lot of things I had to jump. Yeah, okay, yeah, because we're close to the end. I will share this PDF, this PowerPoint for whoever is interested to, but I want to invite you, okay? This platform is different. CDP and Personalize is different from the XP that you're used to, but guess what? The community is still the same. The same good people, the same helpful people, the same friendly people. That's why I tell, engage. You know, we have the Sitecore Slack channel, customer data platform. Please join. Stack Exchange now has a tag specific to CDP. So I invite everybody to go there. This whole presentation has been built by using solely the official documentation from Sitecore, nothing else. And there's a lot of good documentation out there that you see on screen. And also learning. There's a lot of free training. You know, that's the Box Ever free training, the study guide, the sales fundamental and the technical deep dive. Everything here except from the certification itself is going to be free for you. Okay, I got 2 extra minutes from your life. I'm sorry. I'm going to open for any questions that you might have. Please raise your hand and I'm gonna unmute you. Otherwise, we should be good and you can go back to your normal lives. I would like to thank for everybody for joining. Thanks, Dylan Young, one of the most important guys in the CDP experience community. I think Martin might want to say something. Please just unmute yourself, Martin.
Actually, a message in the chat I wrote about your XP-loving boss. You can read that.
Your XP-loving boss would also ask you, how is CDP being protected from malicious dev tools like attack? Given that BoxEver API is exposed and well known, your competitor could undertake certain vectors of attack. Why not to bloat competitors with dummy data generating some misleading stats? An attacker could think about that. My boss was not so smart, but I love it. You know, this is really important. And I would like to ask for, Mr. Dylan or anyone, Ahmed, if you want to jump in. I think you have to use your own client ID in order to use the API directly, right? So right. I think you are asking, Martin, about using the website to overload the CDP or using the API directly.
So Ahmed, we've been demonstrated in DevTools. You can submit the data from the current user, and this being sent through to CDP. And basically, it's an interesting question, because I don't know if it's possible or not possible to do that, but I'm thinking how a potential abuser can affect the system by submitting extra unwanted misleading data, which will be further taken into consideration by the company.
Okay, yeah. So here's So in order to use the APIs, you have to authenticate. In order to authenticate, you have to have an API key, which is something that can be
dedicated to your tenants. It's dedicated. Yes, like when you create a new tenant, it's like you'll generate a key that is specific to you, and you'll use this with the first time you build an API, then you get a token, then you get it through the normal login procedure for that.
Yes. So, but the API key, it stays in the JavaScript, no? Ahmed? The API key we have to add to the plugin. Let me go to that. Yeah, here when we are plugging in, right? So you have this thing here. Your client key goes here in the JavaScript, no? So it's relatively easy to steal your key and use it. That's a very good question. Dylan said, I think this is a good question. The API key is present in the front end. Yes. So it's a valid concern. Let me take this back and get a better answer. If Dylan cannot answer this, I don't know who will be able to. It was a word of appreciation, Dylan. Exactly. Yes. Yes. The key is in the front end. So basically, you can steal that and create any robot to attack that. Yes.
So I will be using millions of these sessions. Every session would have some random visitor, but with the million of the sessions, I will be able to generate statistically big data to affect your CDP, so that whichever aggregation is done there, it will affect your business. So for example, your business decision takers would think that they have lots of things in sale, while in reality the company going quite poorly, and taking strategic decision would be definitely affected after this type of attack. And this is just only one vector. There might be a few more.
Yeah. Good point. Amazing point.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. If you leak the key, you can do all sorts of bad things, I can imagine. So it's not just this. You can impact the results, and you can change the data or whatever. But given the fact that there are like big names already on that system, like there are a lot of customers using it right now, and like some of them are banks and some of them are airlines. So I think there is a way that they are also just keeping the authentication keys not exposed to the front end in that simple way. So it runs between the cookies in an encrypted way, maybe on something like a handshake algorithm or something. Proxies maybe, but like on the ground on how to do it, I can make a search, or I think Dylan can get some technical details as you mentioned. But I'm sure it's done.
Dylan is saying technically you could do something similar with XP theoretically as well by creating bots to crawl the customer site. I know one option that was done by Play Demo was putting the API and tokens behind a custom service that you control. Yeah. Yes, very good. Folks, well, I'm so excited for having this with you. I am really happy for having all those people here and engaged. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you next time, and I'll drop you with some music. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ahmed. Very good, man. Thanks. Really appreciate. Thank you, Martin. See you soon, buddy.
Thank you, everyone. Happy to be with the Sitecore User Group Brazil today. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure. Thanks for arranging that, Rodrigo. Pleasure.
Thanks so much. This is Rodrigo singing. Thanks, Dylan. Amazing to have you here. Thanks, people from Alturo. Really appreciate your presence here today. Nitika, Nitesh, Pravin. Thank you, folks from Brazil. André, Deulan, Felipes. All right, see you later, guys. Bye. Because now